happens when you advertise on KBLA Talk 1580.
3, possibly 4 weeks ago, I heard an advertisement on your radio station from a company called Grid Solar. I would love to have that phone number so I can reach out to them with reference to solar panels being installed on my property.
Our listeners are aware and engaged, but more than that, they are loyal. When they hear empowering messages that uplift their community and help them live better lives, they respond. No medium reaches this coveted black audience like KBLA Talk 1580. So, hit us up today at smb@kbla1580.com and let us help you connect with our loyal listeners. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black. Money to bud.
I'm Zoe Williams, the voice of reason. If your relationship is in trouble, I'm the dude to call. Has your soulmate become your cellmate? Does black love still exist? What are your bedroom turnoffs? Fantasies and fetishes. Financial infidelity. I'm dating a fat person. Are they worth the wait? Trust me, this is gonna be crazy.
How about the heavy stuff?
The child wasn't his, and he still had to pay child support.
It's a very heated topic.
How was that right?
Mama's baby, daddy's maybe.
I just have so many questions I want to ask you.
I just like to kiss. Is there something wrong with that?
Damn.
He told me he had a vasectomy. I'm pregnant.
Betrayal has been committed.
Hit you with the bad pipes routine.
How does he maintain his humposity?
He likes it when it pinches my neck.
Why can't you open up, brother?
I'm a karate man. Karate man rules on the inside. They don't show their weaknesses.
Yeah.
How do you rate women so well?
Zoe Williams,
Reason and accountability.
the voice of reason.
Okay, so I don't know which Christians need to hear this, but just because you're dating or looking to date a Christian doesn't actually mean that it's enough to make it last. These are the ultimate signs that you're unequally yoked. Number 1 is that you have different opinions about whether God is in first place. Are you both seeking the kingdom of God and his righteousness first? Number 2 would be you have different levels of desire to become more like Christ. After all, you're going to be submitting to each other in marriage, and that takes a lot of Christ-like character. Number 3 is that you have different levels of practicing what you preach. You know, after all, faith without deeds is dead. So are you both living out what you believe in equal effort? Number 4 is that you have different levels of commitment to the body of Christ. You know, what would that actually look like in your relationship long term? And number 5 is that you experience resistance when you suggest bringing things to God in prayer together. You know, after all, the couple that prays together stays together.
Okay, listen. I'm not saying anything she said was incorrect. But the platitudes, we've heard all of that before. Okay? No disrespect to what she's saying. But do you know how many toxic people are in the church? In the mosque? We just saw the Dalai Lama try to tell a little kid to suck his tongue. We saw that a year ago. He thought we forgot. Just because you put on the robes and the garments, the jalabiya, the bantaloon, the togia, the imma, the dikkarbi, just because you wear the garments of spirituality, it doesn't mean you're spiritual. Spirituality is an experience. We've turned it into tradition. Do you understand? And for a lot of men, just putting on a robe ain't enough. How many times do we have to experience a Eddie Long? Huh? A Jimmy Swaggart. Don't act like Jimmy Swaggart didn't have our grandmamas in a chokehold. Can we keep it real? For many men, spirituality represents a softening, right, of who they are. I remember when I was a little boy, they used to say, oh, that little boy mannish. There's something about manhood. Now, you can be spiritually evolved and still maintain your masculinity. It's more about being able to control it, to have it under your rule. And listen, for many men, that's a lifelong process. How do we get in that process? Many of us have to get into a relationship so we can face what's wrong with us. right? Because most of us are running from something. Maybe running from mama, running from daddy, running from whatever dysfunction we're running from. And usually we run right into the arms of a woman who is only there to reflect what we're running from, so we can take some level of responsibility for it. But many of us don't know how relationships work, right? So it becomes another home for us. Remember, even if the home was toxic, it's still home. So when we see the toxicity in a woman, right? When we see that, we go, oh, that's reminiscent of the toxicity I was raised in. It's like an old blanket. I'm going to wrap myself in that. So, as Krishnamurti put it, masculinity, spirituality, and social conditioning. Krishnamurti once remarked that true freedom lies in liberation from the psychological patterns imposed by society. But it's also the psychological patterns that are imposed by your home. Men particularly have been conditioned to equate spirituality with a kind of passivity or softness that is traditionally associated with femininity. Well, it is softer. But because we live in the most religiously illiterate country in the world, I didn't say literate, I said illiterate. There's a book called Religious Literacy. Go get it. That's in chapter 1. America is the most religiously diverse country in the world, yet it is the most religiously illiterate country in the world. We won't pick up another book because it's deemed evil. Do you know the Muslims ran the world during the time of Baghdad? That's because they studied mathematics. They created algebra. Then one guy comes along and goes, you know, algebra and math is the devil. And do you know the Islamic world lost all of its intellectual property? It was all gone. Because one leader came and said, you know, math is evil. They were the intellectual giants. They inherited the fall of Kemet. We live in a society, let me tell you what the most valuable asset in America is. I mean, some people say property, some people say gold, some people say, well, it's money. Because you can buy all that with money. And that's what broken, spiritually bereft men have been doing since 1863, or maybe even 1865 when they got the note late. Hey, did you know y'all was free and y'all just gave us a few years of free labor? We don't have a spiritual compass as men. I didn't say we didn't have a religious compass. I said a spiritual compass. Now, because Jesus ain't got back yet, right? Because Jesus isn't back yet, all we can do is parrot his words. If we're of that particular belief system, right? We parrot his words. But you are to embody his meaning, his message, that's what it means to be Christ-like. You are to be the embodiment of that. But because we lack that in this society, and spirituality means soft, and then we give it the hood definition of soft, not the spiritual definition of soft, because most of us has never read the Tao Te Ching. No one's, who read the Tao Te Ching? The Tao Te Ching says, hey, be soft. Water is soft, but don't mistake water. Water will wear down a rock. Water will create a whole canyon. It'll just drip through it and create a whole canyon, and it's soft. Oh no, you done put the hood definition of soft in a spiritual context. That's why we lost. And the only thing that's real to us is something that is fake. Money. The money we have in our pockets today, fiat currency. Do you know what a fiat currency is? Every fiat currency that has ever come into existence has gone back to zero value. You got women out here passive aggressively selling themselves, prostituting themselves for something that is worth less than them. But because the system uses it as the medium of bartering, well, I guess I can prostitute myself for that. Men are prostituting their spirituality because we think it's soft to be soft, to align with our feminine side. And guess what it makes us? If you never heal what you've been through, if you never reveal what you conceal, brother, you're a walking time bomb. You're going to pop off. You're going to pop off. Right? So what needs to happen? Because I have a daughter who has a degree from a very prestigious university. She wants to be an actress. What if she was invited to a Diddy party? Because somebody got paid for those damn freak-offs. Somebody got paid for the freak-offs. We live in an immoral culture. And yes, Diddy was allegedly a ringleader. I don't know. I did read the indictment today. Somebody sent it to me. I did read it. But allegedly, and, a ringleader. Masculinity needs spirituality infused in it. And in the first hour, I made the distinction between religiosity and dogmatic, rigid concepts that we've been passing down forever, right? And spirituality. The spirituality is rooted in the knowledge of self. The knowledge of self comes out of the mirror of relationship. Relationship reflects back to us what we have repressed, what we have suppressed, for the purpose of us taking responsibility for it. However, the spiritual advantage, right, of not being spiritually closeted, right, it comes with its own set of challenges without addressing insecurities, deep-seated traumas, or relational wounds. Spiritually adept men and women may wield their knowledge as a form of control or superiority in relationships. The danger, as Robert Anton Wilson and Eckhart Tolle cautioned us, lies in identifying too deeply with spiritual roles. This happens in church. It's called spiritual abuse, where I'm a higher authority than you are. I know more about the word than you do. I am more spiritually evolved and tapped in than you are. All of this is coming back to self-awareness. Many of us are only aware of what we have accumulated. That's where our sense of ego and self come from. If you look at most people who came out of toxic situation or traumatic situation, they don't really feel good about themselves until they start doing good in the world. Somebody meme that. Most people don't feel good about themselves until they start doing good in the world. Hey, listen, I was an A&R way back when Puffy had a high top fade and he had an overbite. You start getting millions of dollars, going into the billions. You get them teeth fixed, get everything straightened out. You think you cute. You think now you a magnet for all of the baddest women in the world. Now ask yourself a question. Why are you a magnet? Are you a magnet because they're attracted to your presence? Are you a magnet because they're attracted to your resources and opportunities? Huh? Can we be honest? But if they play the game, what makes you think he won't play the game? There's no spirituality in any form of prostitution, whether you're selling your integrity or you're selling your body. I know people don't want to hear this tonight. Well, I got callers on the line. When I come forward, we're going to go to the phone lines, man. We got people on the line. We're going to talk about it when we come back. When we come forward, I want to hear what people have to say about tonight's topic, man. Are men opting out of spirituality? Let's see.
Reasons. The reasons that we're here, the reasons that we fear, our feelings won't disappear. You're listening to the voice of reason with Zoe Williams on KBLA Talk 1580. Tabitha Smiley's new book, The Covenant with Black America, 20 years later, is now on sale everywhere. This classic text shot to #1 on the New York Times bestsellers list almost 2 decades ago. If you have the original book, you will surely want to get this 20th anniversary edition with powerful new contributions from today's leading voices. This 20th anniversary edition presents a compelling blend of historical insights and contemporary urgency in this critical and unprecedented election year. Get your copy of The Covenant with Black America 20 years later today. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminding you that we keep us safe. Pro Football Hall of Famer and urban peace pioneer Jim Brown believed in just that. So he founded the Amera I Can Foundation for Social Change in 1988, focusing on at-risk and high-risk youth in underserved schools and juvenile detention facilities, as well as adult incarceration and reentry initiatives. The core of the Amera I Can program is its 15-chapter life skills curriculum. Mastery of these skills allows individuals to meet their academic potential, conform their behavior to acceptable societal standards, and improve the quality of their lives by equipping them with what they need to confidently and successfully contribute to society. Today, the foundation is led by its president, Monique Brown, who has been actively involved in the organization for more than 25 years. The Amera I Can Foundation continues its work in memory of its founder, actor, philanthropist, and NFL legend Jim Brown. To get involved or make a donation, please visit AmeriICanCommunity.partners. That's AmeriICanCommunity.partners. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
If you say you care about the community, you have to also care about the climate. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your black.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
You know you want some more. It's the voice of reason with Zoe Williams on KBLA Talk 1580.
Right here, what we're gonna do is go back.
He gave me we approach the subject of skepticism or critical inquiry, whatever you call it, we approach that as a spiritual practice. And I think that by putting it in those terms, that's why it ends up being about humility. Because when you practice something as a spiritual practice, what you're talking about is, how can I grow and become a better, wiser, happier person by applying this wisdom in my life? And so that in itself demands humility, because it demands self-reflection, and it demands the acknowledgement that I don't know and I need to learn more.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. The voice of reason has returned to KBLA Talk 1580. Phone lines are jammed. I'll be setting it up, but we got a special guest on the line, and I'm not going to go to him first. I'm going to get my other callers off the line, and then we're bringing on a special guest. Oh, man, it's so much information getting ready to go down right now. So let me get him in here. Attila from Houston, Texas. It's your time to shine. Get in here. What are your thoughts on tonight's topic?
Man, I was just about to say, let the man go first. I'm on a reading. I mean, I don't really got a whole lot to say, to be honest. It's just going to be real quick. Right. I didn't even want to speak on this. I wanted the guys to speak on it. But anyway, I will say just one thing in regards to the religiosity. Mm-hmm. So female religiosity is not a scapegoat for male indifference to self-work and or spiritual development.
Wait. Slow it down. Say it again. That was profound.
Female religiosity is not a scapegoat for male indifference to self-work and or spiritual development.
So just because women are more religious than men, that is not a get-out-of-jail-free coupon to ignore your own self-worth or work.
Hello?
Right? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. I mean, I wrote a comment in the chat as well. Spiritual atrophy, you can be strong in your physical body, but weak in your spirit. And I think that, again, you're really just doing yourself a disservice by turning your nose up. It's worth it being curious about what's out there and what things mean what things, right? Right. I think at least to be a better benefit to your partner, right? In the sense that I've done my work, or at least I've tried to explore certain things and we can explore together. But I think completely turning your nose up at something because of an external experience, external environment, that ain't it.
And you could also, you touch on something very important. You can also be exceedingly toxic and spiritually in tune. Right? Mm-hmm. Now, a lot of people don't know that. Like, you could be toxic than a mug, but be sensitive than a mug, right?
Right. Well, what's interesting? It kind of made me think of, what's that verse? The gifts of the Spirit are without repentance. Ooh. Meaning that you could still be gifted even if you don't, even if you don't ask for forgiveness for what you've done. And I truly believe that. You think about people like P. Diddy who have these gifts for music or producing or whatever. It didn't go away with the crimes that he committed or the atrocities. If anything, he seemed to grow in power. Right. But I believe that in the time that you grow, the bigger you are, the harder you're going to fall, right? So at the end of the day, this is more of a self-accountability thing than it is, a comparative thing.
I love it. I love it. Let me get John up in here next. Attila, guess what? I love you, niece. We appreciate you for calling in. You brought Houston, Texas in the building. John, Mountain View, get in here. What are your thoughts on tonight's topic?
Greetings and blessings, chat. Again, y'all caught me at work this time, but I will try and be brief because my spiritual journey basically takes me not just to the spiritual side of it that's supposed to doggone help me get through some of these journeys in life, but it also brings me to the most dangerous side of me.
Okay. I like that. Spirituality brings you to the most dangerous side of yourself, which is your true self, right?
Truly. Because again, as men, we're supposed to be known as people who can actually physically pick up and do things, right?
Right.
But we're also supposed to be dangerous, period.
Okay. Why are we supposed to be dangerous? Go into that. Because today's society says, no. We got to take the edges off of masculinity. There's too many sharp edges on masculinity. Too many serrated edges on masculinity. Talk to me.
Well, again, do you tell a lion not to be a lion, or you allow the lion to be the lion?
Well, the lion gets beat up by the pride.
Of course he does. Just like everything else in male society, we're currently in that practice of getting beat up. That's the reason why they target us. That's the reason why we are shield for the rest of you. That's why pride doggone get built, because somebody stands still for the pride. I got to be dangerous.
I love it. Hey, brother, you know. Okay, keep going.
But again, Jesus, who whooped everybody out the church because he was telling them, I'm standing on my Father's square, and I need for y'all to be right. Quit selling stuff in my Father's house.
Okay, all right. I could deal with it. So again,
if that's a part of what Jesus is, then we are supposed to be his image and his likeness in this world. So forgive me if I whoop your butt, but again, I do love you.
Oh, I do love you. Oh, my goodness. Hey, brother, I appreciate you so much, man. Thank you for tapping in. You brought Mountain View, Hawaii in the building. Listen, no judgment zone, man. My next guest, he was supposed to be here at 7 o'clock. My team made the mistake, but we brought in an attorney. But not only is he an attorney, he's also a psychic. Mark Anthony. JD, psychic explorer, but he's AKA the psychic lawyer. He is the author of the best-selling book, The Afterlife Frequency, Evidence of Eternity, and Never Letting Go. An Oxford-educated trial attorney, licensed to practice law in Florida, Washington, D.C., and before the United States Supreme Court. He appears regularly on television as a legal analyst, psychic medium, and expert on the paranormal. It's about to get really wild up in here because he's been listening to the show the whole time. When we come forward, we're going to talk to Mark Anthony. He's going to break this down for us.
My friend, love of my life, I can't depend. Love of my life, without you, baby, feels like I sampled true love. Yeah, but this shit ain't clear.
A freak, y'all, and you don't stop. To the beat, y'all, and you don't stop. A freak.
He's on fire tonight. It's the Voice of Reason with Zoe Williams, exclusively on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. Vice President Harris says far too many Palestinians have been killed during the Israel-Hamas war. Speaking at a discussion hosted by the National Association of Black Journalists in Philadelphia, Harris said she supports Israel's right to defend itself, but also how it defends itself also matters. She again stressed that a ceasefire deal is needed now. Touching on a wide range of issues, Harris also touted an economy for everyone in the U.S. and vowed to make home ownership more affordable for everyone. Wendy Williams' conservator is suing over the recent docuseries on the former Black talk show host. Page 6 reports Williams' conservator Sabrina Morrissey is suing A&E Networks, Lifetime, and the show's creators. She claims 60-year-old Williams only made $82,000 from the project, whereas Wendy Williams, while those named in the lawsuit, likely made millions. In February, it was revealed that Williams was diagnosed with frontotemporal dementia as well as aphasia. That's the latest. I'm Amber Payton on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network.
BetOnline.net is your #1 source for everything football. From pro to college, they have you covered. BetOnline.net has every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads during the games. Visit the website today at BetOnline.net. The game starts here.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here's what happens when you advertise on KBLA Talk 1580.
3, possibly 4 weeks ago, I heard an advertisement on your radio station from a company called Grid Solar. I would love to have that phone number so I can reach out to them with reference to solar panels being installed on my property.
Our listeners are aware and engaged, but more than that, they are loyal. When they hear empowering messages that uplift their community and help them live better lives, they respond. No medium reaches this coveted black audience like KBLA Talk 1580. So, hit us up today at smb@kbla1580.com and let us help you connect with our loyal listeners. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black under the bud.
October 2nd is California Clean Air Day. It's your chance to ride Metro for free. You'll be helping make the air cleaner and our roads less crowded. Let's clear the air together and make Los Angeles healthier. Check out metro.net for more info.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Legal Aid Foundation of Los Angeles is a nonprofit law firm that protects and advances the rights of the most underserved, leveling the playing field and ensuring that everyone can have access to the justice system. Every year, LAFLA provides free, high-quality legal services to more than 100,000 people living in poverty across greater Los Angeles. Their unique combination of neighborhood offices, self-help centers at courthouses, and domestic violence clinics puts Legal Aid Foundation of Los Angeles on the front lines in vulnerable communities and at the forefront of change. LAFLA's expert team of attorneys, paralegals, and support staff works to provide direct representation, offer counsel and advice, provide referrals, and educate the community about their legal rights through workshops and seminars. With locations all over LA, you can access their services or volunteer to help no matter where you live. And if you have an urgent issue, call 213-235-0060. That's 213-235-0060. To get legal help, make a donation, or volunteer, visit LAFLA.org. LAFLA.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Okay, everyone, what did you think of the chocolate bar?
It's too chewy.
Feels kind of chalky.
Too much nougat.
I need to go brush my teeth.
Business is booming for Steph's small marketing research firm.
After all these focus groups, there's only one conclusion. I need more researchers.
And she's way too busy researching.
Does this have peanuts?
To waste time researching resumes.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Put our matching platform to work so you can spend less time searching and more time connecting with talented candidates. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Substance use disorder and addiction is so isolating. And so, as a Black woman in recovery, hope must be loud. It grows louder when you ask for help and you're vulnerable. It is the thread that lets you know that no matter what happens, you will be okay.
When we learn the power of hope, recovery is possible. Find out how at startwithhope.com. Brought to you by the National Council for Mental Wellbeing, Shatterproof, and the Ad Council.
KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. You're listening to the Voice of Reason with Zoe Williams. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yeah, in the name of Jesus. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. And every tongue that rises against me in judgment, thou shalt condemn. Lord, give me a sign. For this is the heritage of the service of the Lord. And the righteousness is of me, said the Lord. Amen. Lord, give me a sign. I really need to talk to you, Lord. Since the last time we talked, the walk has been hard. Now I know you haven't left me, but I feel like I'm alone. I'm a big boy now, but I'm still not grown. And I'm still going through it. Pain and the hurt. Soaking up trouble like rain in the dirt. And I know only I can stop the rain with just a mention of my Savior's name. In the name of Jesus.
So I want to address it because I see it week after week, month after month, year after year, that what I'm really doing in my work with women is helping to set them free, because I deal with a lot of women of faith, a lot of Christian women, and at the end of the day, we do something that is very self-defeating and very sabotaging in our dating and our relationships. What do you mean, Rebecca? So there's this whole movement. Good morning, Jessica. Good morning, good morning, good morning. There's this movement that's been going on now for several years that is brought in and ushered in, a lot of profit off of women of faith. A lot of, people saying what they want to hear. People using their own story to write books and do different things but it's almost kind of like this is the blueprint for success for Christian women. And so you've got The Weight, and you've got Heather Lindsay with the Pinky Promise, and you've got, Derek Jackson with his version of relationship expert guru stuff. And, if you find a real man's this, a real man's that, all this stuff. And so you've got pastors now in the singles conferences, and you've got whole organizations created around becoming a wife and learning to be a wife. But if you notice the gap, where there's a huge gap in all of this is, where are the men? Where are the men? Okay, where are the men signing up for this stuff? Where are the men signing up to wait? Where are the men?
Here we go. Men are opting out of spirituality. Is it true? My guest, Mark Anthony, you already know what it is. He's about to bring clarity to this whole situation. Mark Anthony, the psychic lawyer. Talk to us, my friend. I know you've been listening to the show, and I know you have a feel for how I set it up. What are your thoughts on tonight's topic, my friend?
So I think this topic is so incredibly important, and it couldn't have come at a better time. I don't think that men are abandoning spirituality. My experience has been that they're embracing it. Mm-hmm. And the reason that I say that is when I first started my work as a psychic medium, and I would be doing public events. Let's say there's 100 people there, okay, usually more than that, but there may be 3 or 4 men. Now it's 40 to 50%. And you had a caller earlier, and she really hit the nail on the head when she was talking about religiosity. And what I've found is that a lot of people, and men especially, they're not finding that the dogma, the religion, that's so filled with rules that's telling us we're bad, you're wrong, you're negative, you're born with original sin, all this sort of thing. And instead, people are turning to a direct connect to their spirituality. In other words, you don't need a cleric or a book or a religion to be your conduit. People are finding the direct connect. And I was just a keynote speaker, and I did spirit communication events at Helping Parents Heal, and that was before 1,100 parents who've lost children. And, so there is no higher calling for me than to help a parent, or in this case, 1,000 plus parents who've lost children. And so many men came up to me, and because I give a presentation on bridging the gap between science and spirituality. So these big bruiser guys would come up to me. I remember this one guy. I mean, he looked like the type of guy that if you ran into, like, in the dark, you'd be like, oh, my God, okay? And he said, all 3 of my children have died. And he broke down, hugged me, cried on my shoulder. And what I saw was, yes, men were supposed to be tough. I like the way your last caller said men are supposed to be dangerous. I don't think we're supposed to be dangerous. I think we're supposed to be tough, and part of being tough, has that edge to it. But the thing is, and I work with a lot of men, is in helping them learn how to grieve, we feel just as deeply, we hurt just as deeply, and we need spirituality just as much as women do.
Come on. That's what I want to hear. Tell me more. Listen, what is the misnomer about softness? Like, in the spiritual context, softness is not the same as it is in the street, right? You can't be soft in the street. You can't be scared. But in the spiritual context, you must be soft. Am I right?
Well, it's let's a lot of people are talking about Jesus. What was Jesus? What was he? Weak? Was he soft? What when you study Jesus, I mean, what he went through in the crucifixion would have probably killed most people.
Everybody, right?
Everybody. Well, before he even got to the cross. I mean, when he was being flogged and beaten by the Roman soldiers, okay, before he had to carry the cross to be crucified, okay. And if Jesus was a carpenter, then he was probably a pretty tough guy,
right?
But he wasn't weak. He was compassionate. He was sympathetic to people. He was caring, and he was kind. Now, that to me takes real strength. Anyone could go around with their fists clenched and say, I'm angry and I'm going to kick your butt, and I'm, because for thousands and thousands of years, so the only socially acceptable emotion for men to display in public has been anger. I mean, think about it. A guy walks in the office and starts yelling at if he goes in and cries, people go, oh, look at him, he's a weakling, he's a softie.
Soft.
He's soft. But there's a difference between being compassionate, sympathetic, and caring.
Empathetic,
versus weak.
Which all of those things are indicative of strength. I mean, even, the book says the meek shall inherit the earth. Not the strong, not the top warriors, but the meek, right?
Precisely.
Yes.
And I've seen so many men. See, I teach men that it's okay to cry, and this is a tough thing for us. I was raised. I'm of Italian descent. In the Italian descent, the Italian families, guys don't cry. We're supposed to be that Tony Soprano, Don Corleone. That. And I see parallels in the African American community because men are supposed to be tough. You don't cry, you don't show weakness. But scientific studies at USC and at a university in Minnesota have proven that tears of grief actually contain the neurotransmitters and the chemicals which cause depression. So when you're grieving, so think about that for a minute. So there's a difference between reflex tears. That's like, when you sneeze from pollen or dust or something, and tears of grief. So if you're grieving the loss of a loved one, or, you break up in a relationship, some major loss in your life, and you cry, okay, as men, we are socialized to resist crying.
Right.
We'd rather die than cry, okay?
Right.
But the scientific reality is when you shed tears of grief, you're actually, you're getting the chemicals out of your body that cause depression. And that's why after a good cry, you're going to feel exhausted but relieved. So it affects you mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. So I work with grieving men to teach them it's okay to cry. Now, that doesn't mean, walk into the middle of your workplace and start crying. Find a private spot. A lot of guys like to park their car somewhere, have a good cry. Cars are good, but don't do it when you're driving, okay? Do it when you're parked.
Right.
Okay, go to your man cave, your private space. Let that out. That's the healthy thing to do. And what guys that are listening, what we need to realize, we have tear ducts, we have hearts, we have feelings for a reason.
And we should use them. I know you're familiar with Dr. David R. Hawking, the writer of Power versus Force. You got to be familiar with him, I'm sure.
Right.
He said something so profound in the Power versus Force series. He says, as a psychiatrist, we know that the humanity is still within you when you can cry.
Yes.
He was like, if you can't cry, that's what alarms us, concerns us. Listen, stay with me, Mark Anthony. When we come forward, the voice of reason gonna keep this fire lit.
Is it good to you? More Voice of Reason with Zoe Williams when we come forward.
To help combat climate change, LADWP is helping neighborhoods have better access to electric vehicles by awarding nearly $130 million in EV rebates to customers just like you. From big savings on used EVs to building new charging plazas, LADWP is charging ahead to help all Angelinos experience the benefits of EVs. Get rebates of up to $4,000 for a used EV and $1,750 for a charger. Learn more at ladwp.com/EV. That's ladwp.com/EV.
Looks like Bobby needs a ride again.
Grab the keys. Let's take an auntie to the swap meet. Grab the keys.
Whether you're giving rides or hauling gear, do it all in a Chevy SUV. Head to your local Chevy dealer, where well-qualified buyers get 1.9% APR on all 2024 Silverado 1500, Blazer EV, Equinox, Trailblazer, and Colorado models. Chevrolet, together, let's drive.
1.9% APR for 36 months. Monthly payment is $2,860 for every $1,000 you finance. Example down payment 12.7%. Must finance with GM Financial. Some customers may not qualify. Not available with lease and some other offers. Take new retail delivery by 9/30/24.
Hey, LA residents, it's planting season and the perfect time to get shade trees growing around your home. LADWP and City Plants are giving every resident up to 7 free trees. That's right, 7 free trees delivered right to your door. Trees are great for the environment, help improve air quality, and can help you save on your bill when you use less air conditioning to stay cool indoors. Learn more at ladwp.com/free trees. That's ladwp.com/free trees.
Linking social justice and climate justice all year long.
We're unapologetically progressive.
KBLA Talk 1580. KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA reminds you that when we fight, we win, and we don't black down. LA Community Action Network, or LA CAN, was formed in 1999 when 25 residents of downtown LA came together and acknowledged the problems that existed in their community and made a commitment to do something about those problems, to stand together, organize, and become a force in the community that demands change. Civil rights and preventing the criminalization of poverty are their core projects. In addition, they take on women's rights, the human right to housing, and healthy food access. LA CAN also has projects focused on economic development, civic participation, voter engagement, and community media. While downtown LA remains their home base, with a particular emphasis on the Skid Row community, in 2007, they expanded their housing and healthy food access work into South Central Los Angeles. LA CAN believes that power for low-income people and people of color is achieved through a large, active, and well-informed member base that utilizes a multitude of methods to advance their messages and goals. If you'd like to join the Los Angeles Community Action Network and organize people to fight back against oppression, please visit cangress.org. That's cangress.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
You know you want some more. It's the Voice of Reason with Zoe Williams on KBLA Talk 1580.
ladies and gentlemen, the voice of reason back in the building. Man, we are turned up tonight. Powerful conversation. And it's just so unfortunate because my guest, man, it's almost over. He's got a book out called The Afterlife Frequency, the scientific proof of spiritual contact and how that awareness will change your life. Mark Anthony, J.D. Bridging the spiritual and scientific gaps here. This COVR, the cover visionary, Gold Award winning bestseller, is a riveting adventure that takes you around the globe, from the cosmic to the subatomic, into the human soul itself. Endorsed by the world's top NDE and afterlife NDE near-death experience and afterlife research scientists, designated one of the top books about faith in God, and considered for a Pulitzer prize. The Afterlife Frequency by Mark Anthony. Mark Anthony, we just have a few minutes left. I just really want to drill down into this whole concept of a new kind of masculinity. I don't believe in toxic masculinity if it's just one way. I believe if there's toxic masculinity, there must be toxic femininity, because the universe is always in balance. And right. I also believe that men have some work to do with regards to embracing that which doesn't lead to a particular kind of outcome. You know how we are. We set goals. We want to win. We want to, we want the trophy. I don't know if there's a trophy for spirituality. What's your thoughts on that?
A trophy for spirituality. Now, that's an interesting concept, but let me talk about masculinity for a second. When you think of tough guys, Navy SEALs are at the top of the list. Mm-hmm. And my dad was a U.S. Navy SEAL. And he taught me that a real man is never afraid to cry for someone he loves who died.
Ooh, okay.
And I'll tell you, the day that he died, I definitely got that memo. And I think about what he taught me. And my dad, he was a tough guy. He was a strong guy. He was an aerospace engineer. But he always made time for me. He always hugged me. He always told me he loved me. And for his generation, that was unusual. But Zoe, there's a lot of hope. When you start looking at millennial dads and Gen Z dads, you see them sharing the responsibilities with their wives, the mom. Mm-hmm. They're loving up their babies. They're changing diapers. They're right on in there. Mm-hmm. So I think that things are changing, and that is part of being spiritual. It's love. It's compassion. It's embracing your emotions, and embracing and confronting your emotions is not weakness. Mm-hmm. It's opening up a new and deeper aspect of yourself. Right. Having a love for the divine power that we call God is not weakness. Right. It is actually elevating your spiritual situational awareness.
Wow. Let me ask you this. Do you think entertainment, social media, and just this whole whirlwind of content is mostly devoid of spiritual quality? Because I think it distracts us to such a degree that we don't really have enough time to really go into self and kind of cultivate this relationship with the divine within. What are your thoughts on that?
Wow, we could do a whole show just on that. It depends, because there is a lot of spiritual people involved in the entertainment world. Okay, but also traditionally, like Hollywood tends to be more on the atheist side of things, and I'm not crashing on Hollywood, because there's plenty of productions made which do embrace spirituality. But I think that what happens is, and certainly with the exception of this show, your show, and what you present, and shows similar to this, modern technology, entertainment media distracts us in general, because to be truly connected, we have to put down the electronic devices, we have to step away from the distractions, and have that quiet moment of prayer, meditation, connection, and contemplation.
Right.
And you don't have to be sitting on a mountaintop in India. You can do this. You can do this anywhere.
Mindfulness.
And that mindfulness, precisely.
Yeah. And the reason why this is such an important point, because we're getting so close, but I just want to squeeze the orange here. They say grandiose narcissists are 75% men, but then they're also saying there's a huge uptick of the covert narcissists, and they are majority women. The whole point that I'm trying to bring out here, we need spiritual development with the rise of the grandiose and covert narcissists. It's easy to spot the grandiose, but it's difficult to spot the covert. But they're all around us, according to Dr. Ramani. What are your thoughts?
Oh, I agree completely, because narcissism is ego, which is edging God out. And see, ego's all about me. Whether it's grandiose or covert, it is putting yourself above everyone else and yourself at the center of the universe. And there's a difference between ego and spirituality. In spirituality, when you act out of love for another person, I mean, think about it, Zoe. Whenever you or I or anybody listening has done something unkind or hurtful to another person, were you acting out of love for them or out of self as center of the universe?
Ego.
Self-centeredism.
Absolutely.
Ego.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then the human part, if you're connected to it, wants to apologize. It feels remorse, wants to change behavior, and actually does it. Mark, man, I love you for calling in, man. God, I wish we would have had another hour with you, man. Whenever you're free again, you know you're welcome to come back in here, and we want everybody to go to his website, Mark Anthony. Tell us your website really quickly.
It's afterlifefrequency.com, just like my book. You can sign up for my newsletter. I've got online spirit communication events limited to 6 people, so everybody gets a reading. And I'm going to be at the Ancient Mysteries Conference in Virginia Beach at Edgar Cayce, speaking on the curse of King Tutankhamun. Let me tell you, that's going to be a rock and roll good time.
Hey,
I mean, really.
I love it, man.
Zoe, I would love to come back to the show, have your assistant contact mine. We'll set it up, and this time I'll make sure that I'm calling in at the beginning of the show.
Absolutely.
Because we have just scratched the surface of what you and I can talk about.
Exactly, my friend. We appreciate the call, and we'll get with you ASAP. Hey, listen, I'm Zoe Williams, the voice of reason, and I did what I needed to do tonight. When we come forward, I'll see you tomorrow with another topic.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
Welcome to a Tuesday. I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black and